Hey everyone, I hope you had a great day. The first story is called No Overtime Outside of Projects. This happened about 5 years ago. In my company, we have to write up our hours and write up which projects they are for. Of course, there always is some stuff to do that is not part of a customer's project. We also have nothing like a union. We could create one, but similar companies with one mostly have worse conditions than we have, so no need to unionize for us. At that time, once a year we had a gathering of the whole company to do the necessary quality management courses. This was necessary to get a certificate and to get important information, mostly on administrative stuff. That year, at the end of the gathering, we got informed that overtime without a customer project to pay for it will no longer be allowed or paid. This made most of us unhappy, as most of the things outside of projects were forced by the company for quality reasons, or to make the job of the billing department, which worked totally without projects, easier. We had some discussions, but management was clear. No overtime outside of projects that can be billed to a customer. They then ended the official part. The gathering was in a rented location. Our headquarters was too small to fit all employees in. Part of the cheap price for renting was a deal to clean up the place in the end or pay a strangely high price for the cleaning. So in the end, a manager, let's call him Mike, asked everyone to carry chairs and tables back into the storage and help to sweep the floor. It would have been very fast if everyone took his own chair. But this is where the malicious compliance kicked in. This gathering was a non-project activity and our daily work time was over. One of the engineers asked loud, so everyone could hear it, on what project will this go? This is no project. Well, we have been here the whole day, till now, so our daily work time is full. And you just made clear that we are not allowed to do overtime outside of a project. Or did I get you wrong? We made that clear. No overtime outside of projects. Then I cannot help you clean. That would be overtime outside of a project, and you do not allow that. Sorry. Mike was speechless. The engineer stood up and went out. Next, half of the other engineers stood up and started to go, followed by the rest, the technicians and most other employees. And in the end, every one of the employees who worked on projects went out. Only managers and the people from billing and accounting were left and had to clean up everything alone. Rumors are that it took them 2 hours. Aftermath. The next week, all employees got an email. When you only work off project one day, the non-project overtime should be clocked in on the next day. And the project worked off that day will be paid overtime. Management did not punish the engineer or anyone else, and it was again a good place to work most of the time. The next story is called Chargeback Compliance. A couple of years ago, I ordered an express parcel delivery from the UK to the USA via one of these third-party parcel shipping companies. For those who are unfamiliar, they are a middleman and they hold huge accounts with the main delivery services. They then offer cheaper parcel rates and pass some of this discount onto the customer. So I ordered an express 48-hour delivery with one of these delivery companies for my 2 parcels to the USA. This cost me around £100 for the 2 boxes. And from experience using this delivery company in the past, they have a delivery guarantee. This offers me a full refund of all carriage charges if any part of the shipment is not delivered within 48 hours. A few days later, I was told by my customer that the boxes had arrived 2 days late. Not a problem. I checked the tracking number and it had been held up at the UK-based air freight terminal. This entitled me to a full refund of the carriage charges. I then contacted the delivery company. I was told that although I was fully entitled to a full refund, I have to speak to the third-party shipping company. I contacted them by phone and I was told that they don't issue refunds for delayed parcels. I explained that this was a guaranteed service and the delivery company said that I was entitled to a refund. At this point, I was passed onto a manager by the call center operative without even asking. The manager was very obnoxious and wasn't bothered that my parcel had been delayed. In his opinion, I shouldn't expect to get it there on time when I had paid such a low price. So you want a full refund just because your parcel is delayed? Yes, I do, because that is what is in the terms and conditions. But you didn't buy the extra insurance. No, I didn't, because the delivery already included £1,000 in insurance anyway. Well, we don't do refunds for delayed parcels, and especially if you haven't paid for the insurance. At this point I was getting pretty annoyed, because he was making up this idea of buying insurance to cover for delays. The insurance only covered total loss and damage anyway. So I explained that if I didn't receive a refund, I would simply initiate a chargeback on my credit card for the payment. At this point he raised his voice. Fine. Try to do a chargeback then. We will fight it and you won't get a refund. Yeah, your parcel was late, but that doesn't mean you get a free delivery. I ended the call and got straight on the phone to my credit card company. They ran through a rigorous process with me and asked for a copy of the original invoice and the terms and conditions. Within 24 hours they'd refunded the full amount back to my card. They also sent me a letter giving me the reasons they found the chargeback in my favor. It also explained that the merchant, the shipping company, had 30 days to contest the chargeback. However, 30 days came and went and the money was still showing as refunded. 6 weeks later, I received an email from the customer service team telling me that they were willing to give me a partial refund of 10% to compensate me for the delay. Obviously, somebody hadn't realized that I'd initiated a chargeback and now it was too late. So I replied and politely explained that I was told by the manager, stating his name, to initiate a chargeback. He said the company doesn't issue refunds, even when the terms and conditions say they do. Therefore, as far as I was concerned, the matter was now closed, as my credit card company had given them 30 days to reply to the chargeback. And they had not replied. Therefore, the chargeback was granted. Not only did I never hear anything back from them, but I haven't used this company since. Thanks for watching this far. Don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel. And also, please comment down below, even something like an emoji helps. And now, on to the next story. The third story is called I Know What I'm Doing. A few years ago, I was working for a company building a specialized electrical switch room for some plant somewhere. The important part to know is that this room had to be fire rated for 4 hours. So, if the room was engulfed in fire up to 900 degrees Celsius for 4 hours, it wouldn't be breached. The guy running this job was a complete tosspot. In his own words, he was a tradesman, an accountant, an engineer, a truck driver and had decades of experience. His job title was estimator. Now, the client had spec'd a very specific sealant to be used to seal all of the joints in the room between where the panels joined to one another. And he had to order the stuff from Germany. And who would have guessed he didn't order enough? We ran out 2/3 of the way through the fit-out. So he goes down to the local hardware store to get some more. What he came back with was regular heat-resistant silicone, the stuff you'd use to glue on an oven door seal that's only rated to 240 degrees Celsius. And not only that, but the stuff he got is also bright red, while the specialized sealant is grey. So it sticks out like dog balls that it isn't the right stuff just looking at it. But when I pointed it out to him, he said, just use it. I know what I'm doing and you only paid from the neck down. So we did what we were told. We squeezed this stuff in nice and thick, sealing the wall panels to the floor. Now this was very early on in the process of building this room. After sealing the walls, another 1000 odd hours of labor went into it to make it impossible to take apart non-destructively. When the room was finished, the client sent out a few engineers from Japan to do the final inspection and testing. And, of course, they picked up on the fact that some of the sealants weren't this fancy stuff from Germany. What sealant is that? We gave you a specific product to use. Where is the information on this sealant? Suffice to say, we then spent the next 3 months disassembling, more like demolishing, the room and reordering all of the materials. None of those are cheap or off the shelf, over 150k were in total. And then we rebuilt the room to spec. Tosspot was fired, of course. The last story is called Manager from Hell. This happened a few years ago. I was 18 and working as a receptionist for a community nursing service. As the youngest in the team, by a long shot, I was usually the one responsible for the computer stuff. Mostly just simple things, nothing a quick Google search couldn't solve. The other staff members were wonderful and I learned a lot from working with them. Except for the assistant manager, Karen. This woman was a bane of my existence. She was over 75, recently came out of a 15-year retirement as a receptionist and was armed with a certificate in business management from a 4-hour online course. She refused to learn basic computer skills, such as Word or email, stating that she didn't need to learn them when she had others to do it for her, namely me. In a 5-hour shift, I would spend 3 hours just fielding her task. Needless to say, this came along with all the fun personality traits that make a manager from hell. At the start of one of my shifts, I received an email from Karen asking me to print the attached files. One was a PDF and the other was an MP4. So, assuming she meant just the PDF, I take the printed copy to her. This is roughly how the exchange went. "Why do you only have one file? I sent 2. I was stunned. "You want me to print an MP4? Isn't that what I asked of you?" A monkey could do your job and probably be better at that. I'm pretty sure she laughed at her own joke. "Look, I don't think you understand. Don't try and teach me. Don't forget, I did your job for 20 years and now I could have you fired." I was already over it. So I said, "Okay, well, I've never printed this type of file before, so it might take a while." Karen interrupts me. "I don't care how long it takes. I'm your boss and I've told you to do this. Once it's done, you can move on to the other jobs." I'm grinning ear to ear at this point. I get back to my desk and sent her an email summarizing our conversation and explicitly clarifying she wanted me to print an MP4. I got a snarky reply. Perfect. I spent the next 5 hours pausing the video every 3 frames, screenshotting it, pasting it to a Word document and printing. The administrative task piled up, not that Karen noticed because she mostly spent her time reading magazines and talking on the phone. I felt bad as this placed an extra load on the other receptionists. However, since Karen was universally hated, they gave me their blessing. Once completed, I took about 100 pages carefully held with clips to her desk and sweetly told her that I'd print the other file. She looked smug until she saw what was in front of her. Page after page of almost the same picture as the man moves through the video, some slightly blurry, all in full color. She was furious, to say the least, but I was 1 hour overtime on my shift and Karen knew that would already cause her some issues. So she let me leave. Though I knew it wasn't over. As expected, I get called into HR for a meeting the following week. They accused me of wasting company time and not complying with management. I explained the situation in detail and showed them the email and her awful reply. I also showed them a few more emails and texts where Karen used some particularly descriptive words to insult our staff members, including the very HR rep taking my interview. Turns out this was the straw that broke the camel's back, as Karen had multiple reports against her from other staff members. And she had been driving HR insane with her own complaints. She lost her job the following week. The best part is that this happened on a Sunday, where I get double pay. I took some of that sweet overtime cash and brought in cupcakes to work once Karen was gone. I said it was an end-of-week treat, but we all knew what we were celebrating. The HR rep seemed to particularly enjoy hers. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please click on one of the suggestions that show up right now to get to another funny video. I hope you have a great day. Bye bye.